Now, in the latest escalation between India and Bangladesh over the border issue, India's border security force has stopped Bangladesh's border guards from building an illegal bunker just 150 meters from the international border, marking the second such intervention in just 2 days. BSF officials in Kolkata say that they spotted the construction, which was initiated on Friday night during a patrol. This came just a day after BSF blocked another PGB bunker in North Bengal's Dahagram, Angarpota area. Following BSF's objections in a flag meeting, BGB agreed to halt work. The latest confrontation comes amid growing tensions between the two border forces since Bangladesh's regime change last year. The situation escalated last month when Indian and Bangladeshi villagers clashed in Malda, North Bengal, over BSF's attempts to construct a border fence, which led to stone pelting incidents. To discuss this further, I'm joined on the broadcast by Ayanjit Sen, expert on Bangladesh affairs, and Major Reza Ul Karim, retired, who's also a researcher and analyst. Thank you to both of you for joining us on the show. The first question is, and of course it's a concern, whether incidents like this, which are two back-to-back incidents, is this going to, in a way, further escalate the tension between the two countries? Ayanjit Sen, to you first.
No, I think, in recent months, after the US so-called government has taken over, there have been several allegations of crop theft and, involvement of local population in that area, and even a big social media propaganda which has been levied against the Indian border guards, the BSF. And slowly, the border management issues have turned into kind of community-level conflicts, and that has been precipitated by the way Bangladesh has escalated the issues. Because, as you remember, the joint guidelines which prohibit any kind of defense-related construction within 150 meters of international boundary. Now, that has to be respected from all perspectives. Now, of course, BSF is actively monitoring the border to prevent any kind of illegal activities, and that's a recent example of that, because of which they objected to what Bangladesh was constructing within that distance of 150 meters. Now, many of India's such projects have received approval during Hasina's tenure. But at the moment Yunus took up the charge, it has changed more or less everything from there on. And except some flag meetings which have taken place between the BSF and the border guards of Bangladesh, I think it's just that this kind of escalation of tensions is precipitated primarily by the Bangladesh border guards themselves. And that's the reason why even individuals, citizens of Bangladesh who are staying across the border have also been, been pushed to construct stuff within that 150 meters boundary so that the BSF does not fire upon them because they are civilians.
Right. Major Reza Ul Karim, bringing you in on the discussion. There's been so much talk about this concern that Indian government has about illegal Bangladeshi immigrants, and then we have these incidents happening close to the border. What do you think from the Bangladesh government's perspective that they would like to see in terms of a diplomatic move that can be made in order to calm down the tension amid the fact that there are, of course, concerns that Indian agencies have when it comes to these illegal immigrants?
Thank you. Good question. Actually, I'm very positive, and I'm very sanguine that in upcoming days, India-Bangladesh relations.
Right. We seem to have some technical issue there. We'll try and reconnect with Major Reza Ul Karim very soon. This is, of course, one of the, this is in the backdrop of this bunker, which had in fact been created by the Bangladesh border guards. They were trying to create an illegal bunker very close to the international border between India and Bangladesh, which has led to this fresh flare-up in a way. But for more on the incident itself, let me go across to my colleague Saurabh. Saurabh, if you can just put it chronologically in order, and also for more perspective for our viewers in terms of what's exactly going on at the Indo-Bangladesh border. There are two back-to-back incidents now. How is the Indian government looking at this situation?
Well, I mean, there is, of course, a problem at the border, and no one is denying that. Now, the fact is that obviously there are certain areas where, in the last few days there have been, what has been termed as skirmishes between the BGB, the Border Guard Bangladesh, which is the agency responsible for guarding the borders from the Bangladesh side, and also, the BSF, which is the Border Security Force, which is, of course, the agency responsible for guarding the border from the Indian side. Now, the BSF, of course, has been patrolling. They've been on very high alert ever since the situation unfolded in Bangladesh from last year. And there have been attempts from the Bangladesh side to also try and perhaps, many believe in a way to, take advantage of the situation, for the lack of a better phrase to describe what's going on. But obviously, this is an incident that the BSF takes very seriously. They also have held meetings with the BGB. In a lot of places on the India-Bangladesh border, fencing work is still going on, or fencing work is yet to commence. Some areas are riverine borders, so it requires extra alertness from the BSF. So all of these things are taking place, and of course the BSF says, even for example, recently the BSF also wrote to the state government saying that tall crops should be avoided in border areas, because what is happening is that behind the tall crops there are people who are sitting and watching, observing the BSF's patrolling patterns and using that to take advantage and do things that are against the interests of India and the safety and security of India. So obviously this is something that the BSF is looking at very seriously.
Right. Saurabh, thank you so much for joining us. Let me go back to Major Reza Ul Karim. I believe he is connected with us back again. Yes, Mr. Karim, Major Karim, if you can complete your point that you were making.
Yeah, sorry. So actually, let's come to the point. Basically, I'm expecting, and I'm very sanguine that Bangladesh-India relationship in future, it will be really very positive, and it will be strengthened. And by bilateral discussion, especially our foreign ministry to foreign ministry relations, and there is also positive sign that by 17 to 20 February, the DG level, Director General level meeting between Bangladesh BSF border guards and Indian BSF and Bangladesh BGB. Both the organization, they will have their Director General level meeting, and I'm sure by that through that meeting they will have some positive gesture. But here is a point, as mentioned by the previous speaker, that there is a rule for inter-border distance, like within 150 years, none of the country can have their any establishment. Like Bangladesh, from the zero line, there should be 150 years gap. So same it was maintained all through, but as per the agreement between Bangladesh government and Indian government, and that agreement took place in the year of 2016 between Foreign Affairs Ministry of Bangladesh and Foreign Affairs Ministry of India. So, but India might have the claim, or BSF might have the claim, that as per the agreement, yes, we can have our fence. Like that means nearly 1200 years fencing was incomplete. So as per the agreement, they are supposed to complete that fencing. That is true. But for the implementation, you need to approve the drawing, design or planning. That should be approved with the consultation by the local commander, like local commanding officer of BGB. They should be involved. They should give their plan, or they should approve the design or planning before the implementation, which did not take place. Thereby, this kind of problem, actually the incident happened there. But still, I talked with the local BGB commander, Lieutenant Colonel Kibriya, who confirmed me that from their end, they are very positive. Though there were some problems between the Indian people and Bangladeshi people, both the party had been trying to do some problematic activities, but the BGB and BSF officers, they were positive. And I'm sure from Bangladesh end, our officer, he was very polite, but he was very firm in his decision, and he never did anything without consulting with his higher commander. So actually, we now the situation is going adverse because of the media. Especially, I will blame Indian media sometimes with wrong information. Indian media is exaggerating, and I will request my Indian friends. They should know the exact facts so that we can also help our Indian media,
Right.
so that they broadcast the actual message, because we should not mislead any
Right.
function or any department.
Right. Reporting,
And
of
thereby
course.
we will strengthen the relationships.
Reporting, of course, always has to be factual. Ayanjit Sen, we have very less time, but quick word from you to close the discussion here. What should be the Indian government's next move? Negotiations in terms of diplomatic strategy. What next should be the priority?
Well, as Major Karim said, from that perspective, I would say the meeting that's going to take place between the two border forces, that should solve this situation for now. But there has to be a way forward going ahead. There should be the fencing issue, and all other border issues should be solved once and for all, regardless of who is power in Bangladesh. But because, as I said before, the border management issues, because of different social media propaganda coming up from across the border inside Bangladesh, this is giving up the social media propaganda. And these border management issues have turned to kind of, community level conflicts. And thankfully that has been, that has died down to an extent. But it's time that, the two forces come together, and they are going to meet soon. And hopefully things are going to be sorted out once and for all.
Ayanjit Sen, Major Reza Ul Karim, thank you so much for joining us on the show.